And then I'm going to try to put this video on the in the media library. I'll show you where that is. Well, I'm going to start off by going through the organization of the Lamaku site. Let's see. So everybody can see the screen?
Yes.
I see you students are mostly professional online students, right? You come on without your video and without your audio on. So any responses I appreciate. So anyway, I'm doing this for Chemistry 100. It's very similar for the Biochem 141. The setup is the same. Um, Actually, most of the content is the same, but not exactly. But anyway, so here's the gold bar I talk about. And whenever I mention these in a document, I always make them capital. So course administration, I'm sure you don't see. Content you see, content has, come on, content has all this stuff over here. So here's table of contents, and this is what the content is. So for example, here's the orientation, which is very important for you to read. We'll come back to that. Here's the syllabus, and these are PDFs. So you just click on them and they should open up, right? Then back to table of contents, please. There we go. So here's links to the live Q&A sites. You probably clicked on this to get here today. Here's the link to the YouTube channel. Here's due dates. So here's the generalized due dates, and here's the actual as a PDF. And I grabbed this right from the syllabus. And then here's the chapters right here. So for example, the introduction. And while I'm at it, the introduction has a section in there on grading, but I just recently changed the grading system, so I'll make a note about that later. Here is the Unit 1 homework. So for example, here is, I should probably put this where you as a student, although it's harder for me to navigate. So here's homework 1. So my concept is you can print this out or do whatever you need to do to solve the problems. And this is not turned in. How you turn it in is you go to quizzes and you turn it in over there by entering letters into boxes, essentially. Okay. So what else do we have over here? Um, Here's a survey I'll tell you about later. I'll send you an email. The checklist for the first week, second week. This is basic student needs, which are some links to places that may provide you some support, okay, from the university. Maybe you don't need it. Maybe you do. I don't know. Impossible to know. Okay. And so content and then discussions. So here you can post anything you want, any question you have on the course structure, the syllabus, on the quizzes, on the individual homeworks, when the exam comes up. Here's a place if you want to join a study group, you can post your information over here. And this is open 24/7. When someone posts something, I get an email, and so I will respond immediately unless I'm asleep or doing something important. It will be something important. So that's discussions. And the quizzes is where you turn in everything. So for example, here's homework 1. So, because I'm in student mode, I won't be able to start it, but I can go to regular mode. So here's the homework. Probably the best thing would be to give a preview of this homework. So you start the quiz, it's a time quiz, and that's the weird thing. It's like in Laulima, everything is called, not Laulima, Lamaku, everything is called a quiz. Whether I'm calling it a homework or a quiz or an exam, it's all listed under quizzes. So here you have 2 hours, and don't forget, you've already had time to work this out on paper. So here's where the answers are. Okay, here's where you put them. So this, whatever answer goes here is in this box, and here's number 2, here's number 3, here's number 4. It does not allow me to number the boxes or do anything else. It's a very, I don't know, what's the word, rudimentary program. So questions so far? So we've gone through contents, discussions, quizzes, grades. So because I do your grades quite differently than what's possible in their program here, I wouldn't take this very seriously. But if you're getting all like 10s and 9s and stuff like that on the quizzes and the homeworks, then you're doing A work. But if you ever need to find out, how you're doing in the class, just send me an email. Okay. So groups, we won't do. Class list is nothing. Video assignment. There's things in here that we can't even get rid of. We don't have complete control over the system. So the video assignment seems like it doesn't want to work. Yeah, I'm gonna try to put stuff in there from the YouTube channel to make it easier. Don't know if I'll be able to do it or not, but I'll try. I have a couple things in there. I don't know how much you can put in. I've never been updated on that, the questions that I've asked. Anyway, so questions on the organization here?
I
So
had a quick question actually.
uh-huh.
Um, so with the first unit chapter's homework, what part of the first chapter does that cover?
Okay. I don't tell you what part, what page. What I do is I tell you what chapter it's from. If you look at homework 1, it's on conversions, so it covers quizzes 1 and 2, and it's basically from chapter 1. See, chapter 1 and the prerequisites. Okay. But I'm not going to tell you what page is on, that kind of detail. Here's the due date right here.
Okay, thank you.
Uh-huh. Yeah, so let's go to the syllabus. Like I said, this is for Chem 100, but the one for Biochem 141 is similar. So here's links to the Q&A sessions, which is what we're doing right now. The password, of course, is chemistry. That's me. You can just call me Harry. It's a stupid name, but that's what I got. Um, let's see. So course information, the purpose, prerequisites is basically math. I think for 141, it's a little bit higher level math, but it really doesn't matter. I've had students who've taken calculus and still struggled with the math in this course. And I've had students that don't have the math prerequisites and they do fine. It's just a matter of, are you going to spend the time to learn how to do the process? Because I invented a process, I use it throughout everything. That process has to be done when entering answers into the homework. So if you put the effort into that, then everything should be fine. So here's just the SLOs, which really don't mean anything. What's more important is this thing I wrote about what is chemistry, what is organic chemistry, and then what is biochemistry. So I'm a biochemist. I forced my way to take general chemistry. I forced my way to take organic chemistry. And then when I got to biochemistry, I changed my major to biochemistry from marine biology. Because I realized that with biochemistry, you can study anything. And I have throughout my career. I've studied everything from cancer at the cancer center to marine organisms and all kinds of stuff. Well, anyway, the format, we're going to go through the orientation in a little bit. So you see the content is up here. So anything that's on this gold bar, I put in uppercase letters, okay? If it's within that bar, I just use one capital, okay, like the orientation. So the announcements are given in the announcements thing, which is up, or where'd it go? Okay, we'll see it in a few minutes. But every time I post an announcement, you get an email about it anyway. Okay. So we have 5 units. Each unit has its own set of quizzes, homework, and an exam. That means you have 5 exams. And the primary source of information is going to be the chapters in Lamaku. So I wrote the book and I've been using it for quite a while. I looked at all the things I was upset with and found inadequate in textbooks, and I tried to correct that. There's nothing missing. I was sure to do that, make sure nothing was missing. So when you take this course, you will have a well-rounded introduction to chemistry, and you'll be able to go and do fine in any other chemistry course after this. So supplemental websites, I wouldn't spend too much time Googling things because it's just kind of not worth it. Science Geek is a website maintained by a high school teacher. That's fairly good. Khan Academy has stuff, but Khan Academy has stuff that's for elementary school, it has stuff for graduate school in chemistry. So yeah, you can be underwhelmed and overwhelmed by Khan Academy. So with assessments, we have the quizzes, and I increased the quizzes to be 20% of your grade. The quizzes are very simple, and they're designed to teach at the same time as make sure you read the chapter. So I would suggest doing the quizzes before you do the homework. I don't see students do that all the time. But anyway, with quizzes, the quizzes are due the night before the exam starts. Homework, on the other hand, is kind of metered out throughout the unit. If I don't do that, people won't keep up and then they'll be behind. Oh, I need an extension for the exam because I didn't do my homework. Like, well, then they'll be extended more for the next time and more for the next one. And it's just kind of ridiculous. The homework is 30% of your grade. Feedback is provided after submission. So as soon as you submit it, you go to the bottom, there's a place you will see feedback. And homework is training for the exam. So there's a direct correlation between people who do the homework and how well they do on the exam. So the homework questions you see, I provide the answers there. So all you have to really do is get the process correct. By giving you the answers, that takes away a lot of the frustration. Can you imagine turning in homework and not knowing whether you got it right or not? So anyway, that's now 30% of your grade. So here's how to do the homework. You go to content, find it in unit chapters and homework. You solve each problem by hand. Most of the time, the answer is given. Then once you know how to do the problem, you turn it in by going to quizzes, which is up here, right? And answering the questions. Okay. So, like I said, the way the homework is set up, you have to do it in that method. There is no way for me to set up problems where you can do it any way you want. So I will, after the homework is due, I will put the answer keys in a written form into the same place. Okay. So the goal is to know how to do the problems. It's not just to get the problems done, because there's a deadline, and you need to remember how to do these problems for the exam, because the exam problems will be very similar. Okay, so let's see. So you got 5 exams, right? So each exam is 10% of your grade, also done in quizzes up here. And for the exams, I give 2 days to do it. They're open from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. So that means you got 12 hours to do a 1-hour exam on either of 2 days. So sometimes I make you request the password and sometimes I don't. It simply depends upon how things are going. But if the exam is done by 9 p.m., that means it's going to be auto-submitted. So if you want to get the full 2 hours, you got to start by 7 p.m. Okay. And I will require you to show work on a separate page that you will then email me. So the way I've done it in the past, there may be, I don't know, 12, 20 questions that require some kind of calculations. So you need to show your calculations and then you can email that to me. So you can either take a picture of it with your cell phone, or do a scanner app or whatever you need to do. Okay. But you got to make sure it's legible and I can read it. It's amazing the things that people turn in. It's too light, I can't see it. Things are cut off. It's crazy. This is your exam grade, so it should be important to you to do it correctly. So questions so far?
I just wanted to clarify something.
Mm-hmm.
For for example, unit one, homework one, it says a dash quiz one and two. So then we take the quiz one, take the quiz two, and then we do the homework.
That's the ideal way to do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank
Mhm.
you.
So your final grade will be calculated using the method I outlined in the introduction, but I've changed that, and I haven't changed it in the introduction yet, so I'll let you know when I'm done. So this is what I've done so far. The grading scale is based upon this, for example. And all the assessment grades are immediately done, are available in grades, okay? So if you need help, how do you get help? Well, the discussions tool, which is up here, is a 24-hour forum. You post questions, I see the questions, another student will see the questions, and they'll get answered pretty quickly. Okay. You can get questions answered by coming to the live Q&A sessions. These are here. These are the same thing that you're attending today. The STEM Center is on campus in Coquille 202. I don't know, I haven't heard about them posting the hours yet, but when they do, it will be available here on this link right here. Okay. The study hub may help you, not necessarily with chemistry, but maybe with the math if you're having math. They might have math tutors in there. And you can check on here for the study hub at that link, and they'll tell you. So the required materials, you don't have to buy a book. I wrote the book. People have asked me to publish it. You know, publishers have been chasing me, and I was like, no, I just want to do it for my students. I'm not trying to make money off it or anything. So a basic scientific calculator, just buy a cheap one. Don't get an expensive one because it'll have too many features on it. You won't be able to figure out how to use it. And the thing about the calculator is you need to be able to turn that into a tool for you, not something that you're going to try to avoid. So especially when we do scientific notation and things like that, you need to understand how to input numbers in scientific notation, how to figure out what your answers are with scientific notation. At the end, we'll do the log and the anti-log, but that's not the important part right now. And then you need a periodic table you can get from the bookstore, or you can just print it out from Unit 1. So you have until January 26th. Sorry, there's a plane going overhead. You have until January 26th to do something, a quiz, a homework, or something. If you don't, I'll have to mark you as not attending, and you may be dropped from the course. Okay. So February 2nd is the last day to withdraw without getting a W on your record, which is not a terrible thing. I had several on mine. March 27th is the last day to withdraw from the course. After March 27th, you're stuck. You got to just get the grade that you're going to get. Okay. Also, that's the same time to change any grading options. So it's possible if something serious comes up, you can go to the Vice Chancellor for Student Affairs, and they may let you withdraw from the entire semester. But it's kind of unlikely. Have to be a pretty good excuse. So the math science department is even more strict on that date for March 27th. Anyway, so that date is also listed in the syllabus. So when we get down to the bottom. So learning, how to optimize learning. So the goal, of course, is to be able to do the problems on the exam. That's the most important part of your grade. Read the chapter, work the example problems in the chapter, which I notice that students do not do that. Just because I give you the answers and how to get them doesn't mean you shouldn't be trying them on your own. Oh, I got to change that. Darn it. I didn't change it here. Anyway, so do the quizzes. This is preparation for the homework. And then do the homework. And that's preparation for the exams. Okay, so here I'm telling you how to transfer that stuff into quizzes again. And exam problems are similar to the homework problems. Okay. So again, here's how to get help. And then here's student responsibility. students have the responsibility to do the homework and everything else required. And if you don't do that, then it's not our job to like compensate for you. We're not going to lower the standards for the course. We're not going to go way out of our way to let you make up all kinds of things that you just didn't bother doing. And I get that a lot at the end of the semester. Oh, what can I do for extra credit? It's like, well, there was no extra credit. You should have done the quizzes and the homework. So anyway, there's a couple of things in here that I normally go over in more detail, but I'm not going to really do it this time. But here's one thing. You will get good at what you practice. So if you practice procrastinating, you can imagine what you're going to be good at. And I do recommend forming a study group, although it's very difficult for students who are online. But you can actually do that in discussions. And you got to realize that chemistry is a system of knowledge like learning a language. You don't just cram the night before an exam. It won't work. It's a system. So here's the class schedule. Here's today. So right now you're doing very well. You're all caught up. So the first homework is due on January 18th. Okay. And so that's on the introduction and on calculator and math skills, which is a fairly big chapter, by the way. And then I put the holidays in here, but they don't really mean too much because we're asynchronous online. So here's the other homeworks for Unit 1. Then finally, on February 2nd, all the Unit 1 quizzes are due, as well as homework 5. And the next morning, exam 1 is available. And then you have 2 days to take the exam. Okay. That makes sense?
Yes.
So here's Unit 2. So Unit 1, I tried to do it, excuse me, in blue, and then the next unit in black, and then the next unit in blue again. Okay. So here's spring break. I have one homework that's due during spring break, one right after. If we don't do any work during spring break, then everything else gets crunched, which I'd rather not do. And you would not want to do it. So anyway, that's the rest of it. So here's the last day of semester, but I do give you one more chance. So I'm assuming that all your other exams are done. So you could potentially take the exam on Monday. Grades are due the very next day. So here's some of my favorite cartoons. Here's the program learning outcomes, institutional learning outcomes. All this stuff is really not that important unless you have issues. Dilbert was one of my favorite cartoonists. And then you got canceled for being, I don't know, a racist or something. I forget what it was. There's not very many comics that are really very intellectual at all. And this is like one of my favorite ones. This is a Wumo. And I've actually had students like this. They come to class and they're all tired and they're falling asleep. And then you ask them, what's going on? And they say, oh, well, I got the level 23 last night. It's like, oh, yeah, who cares? So, any questions about the syllabus? Okay, so this is rather important. Okay, So I tried to put it all together in a very concise place. So here's the content, the discussions, quizzes, grades, video assignments, which we are not using so far. Under quizzes, you have the quizzes, which are the homework and the exams. Let's see. So what you need to do is study the tools on the upper gold ribbon to make sure you understand the organization. Okay. All the assignments are completed in quizzes. There's nothing on paper. And except for quiz 0, which I added last semester, I think I give you 3 attempts for that. That's just teaching you how to input numbers into the quiz format. But otherwise, you have only 1 attempt. And once you start the timer, you can't stop it and you can't restart it. Here's how to turn in the homework. And the quizzes will look something like this. So here's a typical problem for Unit 1. Convert so many million meters into millimeters. And I give you the answer. So if you look at this organization right here, how would you solve this on paper? This is the only number you have to start with, so you would put it right here. And then this is in meters right here. Down here in number 4, you have to cancel out meters. And up here in number 1, you want the answer to be in millimeters, right? And number 3 is going to be in millimeters. Does that make sense to you? So you would put and number 1, let's see, this is meters, that would be millimeters. You would put 1 would be D, like so many millimeters, and that number 4 would be C, right? And this is the answer, so that would be 3. And this is what you start with, which would be 2. So the entry boxes are fairly well aligned now. When I first did it, they weren't, but they're fairly good now. So here's the other problem with doing things online. So in this example, we use this conversion factor. 1 meter is equal to 1,000 1,000ths of a meter. And there is no option to use 1 millimeter is equal to 1,000th of a meter. That wasn't available up here, right? So you had to use this one. And I would say most of the mistakes are gone by now, but there may be some. So any questions on this format right here?
No questions.
Okay. So now, oftentimes students have problems with the internet and they don't know they're having it until it's quite past the time where, yeah. So anyway, especially when you're taking an exam, if you're going to take the full 2 hours for the exam, that means that you need a stable internet connection for 2 hours. Most likely you're going to be using Wi-Fi. You'll have less problems if you're plugged into an Ethernet, but nevertheless, things can go down. So if you do have a problem, here's the helpline at the university. Okay, that's the IT help desk. And so you should have no other windows open since this would be considered cheating. And here's what I do. I plug my modem and Wi-Fi router into a backup battery. It's called an uninterruptible power supply. I got it for under $200 at Best Buy. It gives you at least enough time to complete an exam. That's just a suggestion. Okay, so any questions on this orientation right here? Okay, come on. So let's see, let's go through the table of contents. So we did the overview. This is the most important one. This is just about the technology part. Okay, so technical support and all that kind of a thing. Let's see, what else? This is netiquette. This is just like, don't spam people, use proper language, be respectful. And I've had one or two students over the years be rather disrespectful. I don't put up with it, so I don't have a problem with students doing that. I just don't put up with it. So that's the orientation part, the syllabus we went through. Okay, what we should do here, let's go to the lectures on YouTube. Okay, so he says this channel doesn't have any content. Well, I made it that way because I'm trying to protect the identity of students and things like that. So if you click on playlists, then you'll see all the different ones. Okay, so let's see. Here's unit 5, 4, 3, 2. Here's unit 1.
Hawaii is among the healthiest states, but healthcare is now less affordable and accessible. HMSA and Hawaii Pacific Health.
That's one of the reasons why I want to take it off of YouTube.
And what I'm going to do,
They simply put their ads all over it. Even though I paid for premium, they did it anyway. And yeah. So people are putting their name. Sometimes they have their video showing. So the purpose of me putting it this way where it's not immediately visible is to protect these people. I don't care about me. Okay. So so for 100 and 141, here's unit 1, unit 2, unit 3, unit 4, unit 5. You won't deal with this. This is an upper level biochemistry course that I really only teach at Manoa nowadays. But if you look at the playlist here, shut up, I hate that guy. You can see that there's a whole bunch of stuff here. So when I have this icon here, those are instructional videos. So this is how to use units to set up almost any problem. Here's conversions using dollars and cents. These are very, very simple, short videos, like 3 to 4 minutes, right? Here's graphing a straight line, which takes a little bit longer. Here's the chapter 2 lecture. Here's another instructional videos on chapter 2. See how that works? And these are actual lectures over here and the date that I did them. And then more instructional videos. So there's a lot of instructional videos, especially in Unit 1, because you have to get the methodology correct. Otherwise, it doesn't work. Okay. Let's see, you're going to take me back there or not? Here we go. Like I said, I'm going to try to put them in the media media library. But I don't know if I'd be able to get them in there or not, because they are kind of long lecture videos. Okay, then the due dates, we did that. Chapters, we did that. So pretty much everything is done. Here's tutor.com. I don't know if the university is going to be paying for this or not. Here's the STEM Center tutoring. Here's the link to Khan Academy, Science Geek, and student support. So if you click on any of these, it should take you right there. Okay. But like I said, with Khan Academy, it has so much stuff in here that, You're either going to be underwhelmed or overwhelmed. To get the right level of difficulty is sometimes difficult. But you can search anything. Okay. Okay, let's see. Is there anything I left out over here? Oh, I know. If you ever on this page and you're lost and trying to find stuff, just go here. If you click on that, you get to the announcements, you get to another clickable place where all the different parts are. Okay. But all these links over here are also found in content. Okay. So, let's see. What else could we do here? I think that's about all. So what I'll do is I'll take a little bit of time and go into calculator and math skills. So you can see I have my own take on everything. So I haven't done anything to this chapter since fall of 2023. So that's like 2 years, but there's not much to be done here. So when I put things in red boxes, those probably will not be on the exam. For example, this is interesting history. I mean, I certainly hope that you folks are interested in interesting stuff. If you're not, that's kind of an issue. But yeah, the metric system was developed in France in the 1890s. So if you look at the French Revolution and the US Constitution, those are very similar in time. Thomas Jefferson served as the minister to France and during that period of time. And he came back and proposed changing from the English system to the metric system during that time. And we were one of the first signatory members of the Treaty of the Meter 100 years later. And we still haven't changed. And as a guy who's a scientist, it's kind of embarrassing to me to have to explain feet and inches to someone who grew up in the metric system. It's ridiculous. So calculator and math skills. So you need to understand scientific notation and you need to be able to do it on your calculator. So I took a couple of different calculators and showed you how to do that, how to display the number in different ways, how to enter the number. There's a Casio, a TI, Canon. But I got to tell you is that you could have the same brand and the logic on the calculator could be different. So you need to get to know your particular calculator. So here's a review of scientific notation. You can see the basic unit of chemistry is a mole. Look at that number over there. That thing is just huge. So here's some manipulations with exponents, which you should do on your calculator, right? So this is the kind of thing I'm hoping you will go through on your calculator to get the skills that you need on your calculator. And here's a summary of that, kind of a review. And then the direct proportion. Probably 90% of the problems that you will do in chemistry are direct proportion. So here's a graph. A graph of a straight line is y equals mx plus b. Okay. So when the intercept, in other words, b, like when y is equal to b, for example, if x is equal to 0, if x was equal to 0, there's b right there, right? So when b is equal to 0, that's when you have a direct proportion. What I'm showing you here, here's the effect of the slope, different slope but the same intercept. Here is the same slope but different intercepts. And this blue line right here is where y is equal to 0. That's a direct proportion. So here's what a direct proportion is. If this is a meter stick, you start off with 0 centimeters and 100 centimeters, right? So this stick right here, you could say one stick is equal to 1 meter. It's also one stick is equal to 100 centimeters. But now these two are equal to each other, so we got a conversion factor. 1 meter is equal to 100 centimeters. 2 meters would be 200 centimeters. One stick is also 39.4 inches, but 1 meter is also 39.4 inches. So now, if we have a conversion factor like that, it's a direct proportion, say 1 meter is equal to 100 centimeters. If I take that and divide both sides by 1 meter, 1 meter divided by 1 meter is equal to 1. So therefore, this quantity right here is equal to 1. I can divide by 1. I can multiply by 1. The inverse of 1 is 1. It's magical. So here, if I plot it, like here's 1 meter is equal to 100 centimeters, 3 meters is equal to 300 centimeters, I get a straight line passing through the origin. It's a direct proportion. The slope of that line, the change in y divided by the change in x, look, that's the conversion factor right there. So in other words, I can use this conversion factor, this right here, to convert between meters and centimeters. I could also use this stick right here. And because it's a direct proportion, I can use the equation for that. Y equals mx plus, and b is 0. So now how do we set up problems? So here's an example. Convert 2.66 meters into centimeters given this conversion factor. So conversion factors will always have more than one unit. So the only thing I can do to start the problem is to write down that number. So 22.66 meters. And then I'm leaving a space because I know I need to get a conversion factor over here. But yet I can determine what the answer is going to be by what they're asking me. So I'm setting up the problem here. And furthermore, this conversion factor, I have to cancel out meters and keep centimeters. So that tells me exactly what needs to go in here. Okay. So I set the problem up, looking at the units. I know the answer is going to be correct. If you don't use this method and you know there's 100 centimeters in a meter, you might be thinking, do I multiply or divide? I don't know, I forget. Well, you use the units so you don't have to go through that. And what we're really doing here is y is equal to mx. Okay. So really this skill should be taught in 4th grade, according to this website over here. So you can see why the direct proportion is so important. So this is a chemical reaction. The more grams of explosive you have, the bigger the bang is going to be. The more money you have, the more happiness you have. Well, maybe. These are not direct proportions, right? And so here, this tells you a good example of what's the difference between y equals mx and y equals mx plus b. Okay, so this is a direct proportion and this is not. I have to use the equation to solve that problem. Okay. So Questions on that methodology? So I have a bunch of worked out problems here. So here's one-step conversions, step by painful step. And here's a two-step conversion. Okay. So convert centimeters into micrometers. Well, I don't know a conversion factor between centimeters and micrometers, but I see that the common unit is meters. So step one, I will convert centimeters into meters. Step two, I will convert the meters into micrometers. And when you get good at it, you simply line it up like this, and it will be faster than ever solving for X or whatever. It's a very fast method, and you can check your work. Centimeters canceled out? Yes. Did I get meters? Yeah. Meters cancels out. Do I have micrometers? Yes. Is this the truth? 1/100th of a meter is equal to 100th of a meter. Yes. Is this the truth? 1/1,000,000th of a meter is 1/1,000,000th of a meter. Yes, that's the truth. So I took this number, multiplied by 1, and then I multiplied by 1, and the only thing that changed were the units. Everything is still equal. See? Okay. So if you learn how to do that and you take the patience to do it, then you will be doing fine in all of the inputs into quizzes. Okay. There was one thing I wanted to do. So the introduction, so I have some advice over here and things that might help and might not. Some people might get upset. I actually had a student complain last semester. Oh, he's like telling us that we're dumb and everything. It's like, no. Complain to the department chair. So I sent this chapter to the department chair. She says, yeah, that's cool. I like what you wrote. Anyway, here's the thing about grading. I haven't fixed this yet. I'll have to. But it's similar to this, okay? But because I changed the percentages over here, I'm going to have to change this chapter, which I haven't done yet. But in general, so here's 5 exams, right? This is the lowest exam that counts only half as much as the others. So I do a weighted average. The first exam is worth 1/2 of what the other ones are worth. See that? So now it adds up to 4.5 parts instead of 5. Then I take that weighted average. And then for the homework, I throw away probably at least 3 of your lowest homework scores. Okay. So then I would take this, the average of that. But then again, I'm going to have to recalculate this to get something more precise. And I usually make a histogram. Sometimes I don't, but normally I do. Okay. Okay, so that's what I wanted to go through. And I want to know if you guys have any questions about how the course is organized or what's expected of you. Any questions whatsoever? Like, how did I get a stupid name like Harry? Let's see if the media library, those things I put in there. Yeah. I was able to get some in there. And I don't think I think when I transferred it out of YouTube, it took out the ads in there, but I'm not sure. I have to go check again. Forget. Anyway, I will let you know. But the YouTube channel will always be there. If I take things from there, I'm adding to this place over here. I'm not taking it out of the YouTube channel. So any questions at all?
Is this course Chemistry 100, but also Biochemistry 141?
Yeah, like I said in the beginning, it's like the structure on Lamaku is the same. Okay, so that's why I'm doing this. The difference is in the content. It's not in the structure or how it's run or anything else like that.
Are the chapter names still this like similar? Because I was looking at what you were showing for the Chemistry 100, but it looks like the chapters are all the same as the biochem syllabus. So I just wanted to double check.
Yeah, like the Biochem 341 is a totally different animal, but for 141, especially in the beginning, the chapters are the same. Because you're
Okay.
just getting a review of general chemistry. When we get to Lewis dot structures and stuff like that, you'll be doing more stuff than they are.
Oh,
Um,
okay. I see what you're saying now. Sorry about that.
yeah, no, chemistry is the same. Last semester, I was taking over a chemistry 162 class for an instructor who got ill, and it was really no problem for me. I mean, I had to make more math in it. That's all it was. The concepts are all the same. It's just, is it more, how mathematical is it? So like 161 and 162 was quite a bit higher math than chemistry 100 or even chemistry 141. Chemistry 141 was, or biochemistry 141 is taken off of what used to be called chemistry 151 and 152, which are not offered anymore. So it's kind of in between chemistry 100 and chemistry 161.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate it.
Okay. So any other questions? Otherwise, I'll close the session and post the recording.
The video instructions that you were, or the video lectures that you were talking about, are they gonna go over like the stuff like before like the one-step conversions and stuff? Because I was having some trouble figuring out how to write exponents to be the same with the adding and subtracting.
Yeah, I mean it does all that. Yeah. So when I was lecturing face to face, I used the same chapters. So students asked me one time, "Oh, you should just write a book," because I'm giving them all these handouts and everything and lecturing off the handouts. So that's the good thing. The lecture is based upon exactly what you see in the chapter. So I always tell the students, have your chapter with you during the lectures because it's the same thing.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm. My philosophy has always been, we don't have to make chemistry hard. It's already hard. There's no point in trying to make it more difficult. Okay, so if there's no more questions, I'll just close it and it will take probably 20 or 30 minutes for it to be uploaded, but I will upload it. Okay, no other questions?
No questions. Thank you.
Okay, well, welcome to spring 2026.
Thank you.
Okay, you guys have a great day. Take
Thank
care.
you.
Bye.
True.